when this House sits, and indeed, under Article 152, Article 2, and Standing Order 45, this House in its entirety is the organ that does the vetting. The committee, of course, will do the nitty-gritties, but this House has got the ultimate power to reject or approve every single nominee. It's a duty we must exercise judiciously and with utmost decorum and very seriously so. Madam Speaker, you know, we have been told that the Constitution provides frameworks for this appointment, of course, as we know. But, Madam Speaker, even as the committee sits, the Committee on Appointments, once approved today, starts its sittings to deal with this matter, I will be asking the committee from the very beginning, and this is very important, that even as we look at the suitability or otherwise of individual persons who have been nominated by the President, you need to look at the whole package first in context. In context. Does it meet the tenets of the Constitution? For instance, we know clearly under Article 10 of the Constitution that talks about values, principles of good governance, national values. We know there are issues of equity, regional balance. Do we have a sense of that in the entire package? That is very important, even before you get to address the suitability of individual members. That's very important. Does it meet gender balance? Does it address issues of persons living with disabilities, and so on and so forth? So that is very important. But when we finally embark on addressing the issues to deal with individual persons, we must not lose sight of the requirements of the Constitution. We must not lose sight of the dictates and requirements of the Leadership and Integrity Act, the Public Officer Ethics Act, and the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. Madam Speaker, I'll be pleading with the members of this committee, and indeed the whole House, that we take it upon ourselves to interrogate, fairly of course, but very, very intensely, each and every individual. Each and every individual. Because, no, Madam Speaker, this country has a population of over 50 million people, out of whom more than or about 25 million are adults, who of course merit or qualify to be given appointments to hold public offices. And therefore, if the President brings the names of persons who, in the wisdom of this House, don't pass the suitability test, we are not trying to dictate the President on who to appoint. No. Far from it. We are simply telling the President that, please, you have the time to go back and pick from amongst 25 million or so Kenyans those who can pass the test. That's what we are saying in short. And I'm not inciting anybody. I'm simply preparing ground for the committee and the whole House that when embarking on this onerous task, we must be alive to the dictates of the Constitution and other statutes that govern generally matters of governance and good order. Madam Speaker, let me say this as I conclude. Let me say this. We have been told a number of times, and we agree, that the Constitution